Right, everybody, don't know what camera to look at, with the main man here, Andrew, again. We dynoed the tractor with him there, TH Whites. Andrew, where are we? Like, I know we're in Somerset?
Yeah, we're in Somerset, deepest, darkest Somerset. Cider country, as we like to call it around here. We're down at the Southwest Grassland event, down at the Bath and West Showground. We're down on the actual TH White stand. We're actually running the New Holland stand this year.
So TH White, but New Holland are still involved. I see Mark and Tim and Ian, a few of the guys there from New Holland. So we've all joined up together. But also this time, ourselves have got involved with you. There's a lovely on the back of the shirt. The plan is you're going to give us a little quick talk around it, I hope, and then we're going to hopefully put it into practice and do a wee bit of a rundown, a sword with it. So over to Andrew now. Run me through this from a complete dummy's point of view.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to be leaning over here. We've tried to set the screen up a wee bit for the wee camera to show. There's a lot of reflection and sun, it's a bit difficult. So I step into this tractor. I've worked my way around the basics, as you know.
Yeah.
I could go and probably work out these mowers and mow it, but it would all be to my eyes. How do we make use of this little box that's up there? Because this tractor's equipped with New Holland's best technology.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So this tractor is what we call IntelliSteer Complete. And what that consists of is a receiver on the roof, and then under this nice little cover over the back here, we've got a navigation controller, which has a gyroscope in there, which obviously...
Just I think about all the coffee I spilled over that night.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll work. We did have a test run yesterday. We went down to the Glastonbury Festival site yesterday and made sure it was all working, so so we did know it was all right. So yeah, it does work. So that also then would run through the IntelliV4 screen. Nice big screen. It's on an auto command model is a standard fitment, because also it's part of the transmission control on a New Holland. Those three things are the real bits that control the tractor when you're using IntelliSteer. But there's a few other bits and bobs that we can sort of tie in to do that. The IntelliSteer system is what we call an integrated system. So this is all working through the hydraulics. You don't see the steering wheel move, so it's as good as we get on this particular thing. The New Holland's got quite a wide product range, and we can do different solutions with guidance, but with Trimble products. But this was the main IntelliSteer, which we sell. Probably 80% of all our guidance-ready tractors all go out with this particular system.
And I've bought the tractor, right? So I've bought the tractor. I've spec'd about all this. The salesman has done his job correct, right? And he said, "Look, big man, you need this. We've a mower on here that's capable of mowing." I actually don't know the exact measurements of what the mower's capable of mowing, but we'll say 30 foot or whatever. So, I'm old school, so with a tractor here, 30 foot, with grass over here, what do I do? Because bottom line, your customer just wants to go to the field and do it. Yeah. Doesn't he, Andrew?
Yeah, he does. No. And it is something that you need to get your head around. But once you've learned what you can do and what you can adjust to make it perform, it's all about understanding it. Once you understand it, it's a very easy system to use. So we've come into the field. You can do various different patterns when you do this, but one thing you do need is to have a memory stick in the side of the screen. So that gives you the capability that we could actually go around the headland of this field, and you would be able to create a headland. But if we'll run through the screen at the moment and just sort of do a few of the setup things. So
I just used that to charge my phone.
So we've got our run screens. When you actually make a tractor guidance complete, when it comes from the factory, you have certain screens on to make it work, and you can actually customize these screens to have the various information. It's one of these things. This becomes as different software levels bring different features, shall we say. What we tend to do, I mean, I've set this one up as guide 1, so it's a bit easier for people to read. We can go into there, and you can actually change all these different features on there. We like to have a map on there because we like to see where we're going, and you can change the angle of that map to look down directly above the tractor, or you can bring it down to follow behind, which is the way I prefer to use it personally. We then have different bits and bobs on here which you can change. The main one is the swath recorder, and then you have your type of pattern. At the moment it's set to straight, but you can have that actual choice of all the different features. In practice, there's lots of different ones on here. People only ever use straight, actually just straight A-B line. Heading is done off your compass, which we'll probably use on here just for the size of the plot that we've actually got, so we're able to demonstrate it. Curve, because in Ireland, probably just like even in England, and down here in Somerset, we've got no straight corners to our fields, or we can actually
no straight corners.
No straight corners. So
terrible.
We also have field feature, which when you could go into a field, drive around that field, record your line, and then it would actually put the straightest way to work efficiently across that field. You can customise that from that, but if you wanted to do it a different way.
And when you're doing something like that, you must have your stick in to
so it would actually record it to do a boundary. So we've hitched onto these mowers for the first time. So what we'd actually do there is you go back into your what we call the home screen.
Yeah.
And then you have various bits in here which you can go to. You can change your layout, as we said. You can change it there. We've still got the operator as currently as Donkey, so we'll keep that one in there as a memory for whoever buys it to know what who ran it before. The careful owner, should we say?
One careful owner.
owner.
Could you falter?
No.
We weren't exactly sure. It didn't even break the seat.
No.
The seats.
No, it's a little bit trashy in the cab. I don't know if that was from when it's been at New Hollands or whether
I can assure you that it's not me.
But we come along to our implement screen, and this is where we set our implement up. And once you've set it up, this is how it stays until you actually until you change on.
So you've already done this. So you've put in cutting mowers.
Yeah.
Work conditions dry. Mowers should be working when they're dry. So implement type now I'm lost here. REHR.
Yeah. So when we looked at the map just now, you get a coverage come out, which is it paints the field green behind you. Reasonably recent addition is that you can tell the screen what would actually paint that colour. So we've got it set on rear AHR2 here, so that when we lift the mowers up and down, that's when it actually paints. Or you can have it on the hitch. As soon as it becomes, I think it's about 10% off of the actual top of the hydraulics, the little green arrow comes on, so it tells it's recording. Works very similar. I mean, this is the same screen that's used in the combine, so you get very similar. Once the header goes down, it starts painting. But you can even set it up to your front EHRs. I mean, as you spec this tractor to be, the ultimate HD model. You've got 3 front spools. She's got all the toys. You then come to the bit which, as I always instruct people when I'm starting guidance off, you always have a tape measure. And this is where you really find out how some machines behave. And when you quite often find that when the customer picks up the phone and starts ringing the salesman to tell him that the 3 metre cultivator isn't actually 3 metres, because when you actually find out it's a little bit smaller. And this is the important part. But this is a 9.2 metre mower with the triples, the butterfly mowers. So we measure that out as your working width. But your working width for your actual swath width is actually slightly smaller.
8.9 I see you have it entered down.
I mean, that's probably a little bit on the safe side, and you would tweak that as you went along.
But then you have to always remember, this is flat, this little is flat, but anyone that understands the distance, obviously, on this particular job, the distance from your front mower to your rear mower, so if you're starting to go across, you do, and if you're relying on this, you do need either that little bit of safety, or
it also is dependent on the type of signal. The thing with precision farming, it is very much what money you spend on it to how good it is. The basic signal is an EGNOS signal, which is free. It's better than your sat-nav, because your sat-nav gives you an accuracy of 10 metres, EGNOS is 20 centimetres. But you would find if you were using EGNOS, it would work, and if you've got it set right, it'd go in a straight line, but you would have to keep nudging it, because as the Earth rotates, the satellites move, and you just get what you call satellite drift. And you get terms of how it's generally measured in precision farming, is you get what they call pass to pass, which is done over a 15-minute period, or you have year to year, which is then obviously if you went into the same place in a year's time where it would be. So EGNOS is your basic one. Any guidance systems, generally you can use it on that. As you were saying earlier about RTX range point, which on this particular feature with as most of the components that New Holland use are Trimble based. It's a Trimble based signal, which is actually free for the first year, and then it's a £265 fee.
But it's only a Trimble based receiver signal, all the software and all is New Holland based.
No, this is
just,
all New Holland on here. The Trimble is a Trimble nav controller and would look very similar to a Trimble system, but it is obviously made to talk to this particular.
And basically, cutting through it with a knife here, RTX is something that you can pay a subscription for. But the idea of RTX is takes away the EGNOS, which is I'm literally holding out what 20 centimeters may look like.
I think that's probably about right. Yeah.
And if I've got this right, RTX technically
brings that in closer. Yeah.
Should be bringing us to about here, a couple 2 to 3 centimeters or 2 to 3 inches. Or
RTX is 15 centimeters, but I think that's quite a very safe.
That's a very safe.
Because generally, I would say it's probably an RTX signal is probably down to about 6 or 7 centimeters. And for us, I mean,
being safe.
Yeah, I'm being safe.
You can, but yeah, we'll call it 5. Five.
And
but that's technically it. So. But at that stage and for that level of technology and for using this is the reason that you're paying the money is not ultimately just to make someone rich. Well, most people pay money for it, but we're dialing into different programs, not just general GPS type satellites. It's like I'm not saying military run stuff, but it technically is.
But GPS is technically the American military. What RTX brings to the party is it's using a satellite system called GLONASS, which is Russian satellites, which are over the northern part of Europe, whereas the GPS
is one of the richest men in the world, boys.
Yeah, you never see a poor Russian. And but you need at least 5 satellites to make a system work. With GPS, the maximum we ever see is 12. So you do have a fair chance. When we used to use EGNOS a lot, it would drop out. Whereas when you use GLONASS, you start to see 18, 19 satellites in this part of the world. Anyway, we do. I mean, it could be different.
But that is basically why I'm just trying to explain in a nutshell why the likes of this RTX service and other competitive brands will all be running similar schemes. It's you're having to pay that little bit of money for access to the different technology that's in the sky. And that's that different technology, in this case the Russian technology, that's bringing us into that 5 or 6 centimeters, and it's where you base that importance and how serious you are about the job that you're doing. Bottom line.
It is. For us, I mean, when you go to sell it to a customer, range point is the best value performing for cost per pound.
But EGNOS can become a little bit tricky. If I've got this right, EGNOS can become a little bit tricky when you're working with a follower and a leader. Because as you rightly said, forgive me if I get this wrong now, but I'm trying. I'm not terribly GPS minded. But EGNOS works with follower leader, so you're right in what you're saying about nudging. I have seen this before where it's nudging. So all of a sudden, if the leader combine or whatever is having to nudge, that's knocking off the next combine to a degree. So if you're running say for instance you're running 2 combines together, it would be money very well spent going up to the RTX subscription system, especially if the 2 of them's working together. I've got that right.
Basically, it's less chance of drift. Basically, with having more satellites.
Right. Good job.
So you're now a GPS specialist. You can take that job on for me, and I can have a rest.
No, but I'm trying. I'm trying from the Grassmen. We like to float about, get into the tractors, have a bit of crack. But we are trying to at least understand what some of this technology does. So right, we've put the words to right. We've realised you don't get poor Russians. That the American GPS is not good enough. That's all worked out.
And the Europeans are still miles behind.
The Europeans have a satellite. What? So we've put in an 8.9 metre bit of a safety guide there of working with. So basically, this tractor, via this GPS receiver, is telling us that we've got an 8.9 working with, so it should technically be drawing us a line, and we should be working that. We should be taking, in its head, taking 8.9. So if it's a few centimeters over, we should still be seeing that little bit of an overlap. Technically.
So we don't. I mean, the last thing we want to see with this is wisps of grass going up, or like you said, and also working on a slope. There's no flat level fields, so you just give yourself a safety feature.
The next one that I see you have entered in there is a 0.000 is your implement offset.
Yeah.
And the reason that's in, why is that in at 0.00 with a mower?
Everything is done from the white box on the roof, which is in the central part of the tractor.
Mm-hmm.
With the offset, if we had, just say, a front mower and a side mower, we would actually be cutting knots directly behind us. Obviously, with the set of triples, we're directly behind, so we are just doing one complete width. If we had a front mower and a side mower, which, you know, a lot more people would probably come across, we would need to put an offset in, because we would have an offset of the centre of our work. So, you know, your 3 metre mower on the back and your 3 metre mower on the side, the central point wouldn't be in the centre of the tractor here. It'd be probably down by our right hand, outside of our right hand wheel.
Well, it would be. Well,
Yeah.
if we take it back to basic mathematics, can we use the word, our line of symmetry?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we take our line from the middle right down, exactly we're bang on the middle, so it's not even. And does that mean even with some arable equipment, maybe running with a line of symmetry, you may still need an offset, because when it's in the ground, it's maybe needing a bit of movement. Is that correct?
You're totally right. Yeah.
So we're 0.00 on the mowers, because technically we've got the line of symmetry that you talked about, and we're fixed.
Yeah.
We're not. There's nothing's meant to have any give.
No, that's right. As long as your check chains are central, you know, any basic operator thing, then this is straight behind.
That's taken away for if your check chains weren't tight and you were running off that 8.9 metre and you went on to a wee bit of a cast, and the first thing, the mower moved about half a centimetre on the check chain, that's an awful bit from the front, so all of a sudden we could be out.
Exactly.
That's that bottom line.
Yeah.
So how do you get your offset settings then for, say, for instance, I'll not say a plough, but like a 6 metre one pass or some of these things? It's maybe not.
Trial and error, really.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is, like I said, always carry a tape measure. I carry 3 little sighting poles that we stick in the ground, do a pass across, do 3 passes really. So you do a pass across, mark where the machine is, once it's all got settled and gone straight, put the parkers in, turn around, come back the other way, make sure it's covering up. And if it's moving across one way than the other, and you know the width is right, then that's where your offset goes in.
So you have an offset. So how does offset work? Is it a plus or a minus?
Yeah, well, basically. So if everything on here, if it goes to the right hand side, it's a plus, but there's no plus thing there. If it's to the left hand side, you put the minus in.
Yeah.
You know, every machine works differently, and certainly with the disc system, we sell a lot of Valstad kit which has a disc system, which do want to pull one way more than the other. Just purely because that's how discs work. But also, once you're in work, you know, you may find that you have to check it, because if you're planting rape, which is obviously planted quite shallowy into the ground, then obviously you don't have the disc work as hard. Whereas if you're making the disc work a lot more harder, it would actually, you know, it would make the machine behave differently. And you know, it does take a lot of patience setting these machines up. But once you can get it in there and get it right. I mean, I always carry a little book that I take the settings down, and when I know there's some good settings, they're always a go-to. Yeah, I always like doing GPS very much like you know, like a Formula 1 engineer, that you know, you have that sweet spot, and as soon as if you go away from that, you can get yourself very confused, and you know, you can lose yourself for hours.
So are you very confident now we've got this? So we understand offset.
Yeah.
What's bar distance now? Distance from bar axle to where she's working?
Yeah, so basically another quite a recent feature onto the internet.
Right?
Yeah, you are the man. You are the man. Wouldn't be so much with this machine, but when you get a lot of towed implements on behind.
Putting weight on.
Yes, because you leaning across it. If you get a lot of trailed machines, obviously when you're working across slopes, the machine would pull down.
Of course it will.
If you put your bar distance in, the computers then know how far the machine's back. So if it's pulling down, it will make the tractor, you'd actually see if the line was there, the tractor would probably be across to the right, so that the machine was actually pulling up the hill.
She understands if she's snaking a little bit.
Yeah.
She knows to come up.
To make the tractor, and you'll see the tractor, if you stood outside, you see the tractor, the wheels up, and they'll be to the right of the line.
For days of sewing, holding your foot in the side brakes to hold her up straight.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, it's the bigger the tractor,
the more it's going to go.
The more it's going to go with the machine.
Take this tractor for instance, right? and this is coming from my personal experience with the 710-75 axial bib tyres on it, the Ultraflex, the difference between those running soft but within it, the limits of the tyre, there's a lot of tyre roll.
Yeah.
And if you start to lean that tractor, like when we were hooking on those big mowers that with the belts and all on coming to 4 ton, the difference just of watching that tyre from you actually hooked into that implement to your lift, there was a lot of, so if you can imagine that tractor, and on roundabouts even with the trailer on, you could really feel the roll of the machine. So if you are leaning across the hill, it's all going to be exaggerated. So I suppose it is an important. Right, what next?
So that should be the machine setup. If we all know that's all
and
set up.
Maximum steer angle, you've told that tractor no more than 55 degrees.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what most steering angles are on tractors. So
that's so full turn would be almost 55 degrees. So you're basically allowing it full. Yeah. So we start our mowers up. We do all that bit right. We drop her down with them all down. PTO's running. We're about to start. How do we get into this guidance mode then?
Right. So we come out of this one. So we come back on there, and then we have our various screens here. So we go into our run screens. As I said, we've set this screen up, so we've got a couple of screens here for our guidance. We've got another one which gives us a nice big map, and we've got small valves, and we've got a few other little bits and bobs on here. This is my main screen that I tend to set up to be run like this.
Yeah, when you have it down as guide 1 and
guide 1,
situation.
We have 2 things on here saying Crosstrack, but if you notice they're also slightly different. So this is one that we tend to need to keep a good eye on to make sure it's going to perform as it should be, because we have a Crosstrack Error which is giving you a real time as the tractor moves, but obviously as the cab, with all the cab suspensions these days and going on uneven ground, that will affect the gyroscope. But then below it we have what we call an average, which is taken over a period of time as you're running down the swath, and that will give you a true offline distance to what the tractor is. Now obviously we want that to be as low as possible. We want that to be, 0 is the ultimate, but you would never get that. But if we could get that below, if you can get that below 3 centimetres, I mean, you got it performing quite well.
You're happy, yeah.
To adjust that, to make sure that's right, if we went back in there, go to toolbox, we go along to our navigation screen, we've got what we call aggressiveness, and we've also got a swath acquisition. The aggressiveness is basically what you need to adjust how the machine is making the tractor pull. The lower the drag on the tractor, so if you had something like a 30 fertiliser spread on the back, you would have that down quite low because there's just no resistance. If you were trying to pull a 6-7 metre cultivator on the back, it's obviously pulling a lot
all the way, flat or full, full of the pipe.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously is also affected if we had, like I said, a front mower and a side mower, because that would make the tractor behave totally different than a set of butterfly mowers, which are an even pull, but we're still pulling against the grass and pushing along, sort of thing. We've also got the swath acquisition, which is done basically what it says, acquisition of the swath, so it's how quickly it comes online and picks up. We want it to come along quite nicely, quite quickly, but we don't want it to be so aggressive that it's snaking down the field, because the system can cope. So what we do, we come into the run screen, and we would choose we need to record a swath basically, unless you've been in the field before and you saved the one that you wanted to use. So what you would do is just go into the swath recorder. We want a straight pattern if that's what we wanted to do, and then you have a Mark A.
Mark A, drive, Mark B, and we've created our line.
Yeah, exactly. And it wouldn't matter if we'd gone straight across the field here now, but gone across 50 metres to the right and then came back, the line would still be between where we started and where we finished.
This is auto steer, so we're not following a line by our eyes. So once we get close, what do we hit? I presume it's this button here.
Yeah, we hit this button here, she engages, and then you just sit back, get the old phone out, get on the Facebook, and like all Donkey's pictures of his John Deeres and whatever else he keeps putting on, rubbish he puts on there.
Sorry, Bailey. No.
Well,
we just don't talk about John Deere's in here. We have to respect. Respect. This is respect. So we're going to mow a sward? You going to mow a sward for me?
We're going to mow a sward, yeah.
No pressure, big man.
No pressure. This This is the life of a modern tractor driver.